It's been 5.5 years now since I joined the Mormon Church. I was raised Catholic, one of 13 children. I joined the church on December 4th, 1982, after 3.5 years of study in St. Gart's private Jesuit seminary to become a Catholic priest. The story all begins when I was about 7 years old. My dad came up to ask me one day, "Oh, Bill, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And I said, "Well, a fireman, a policeman, an astronaut, I don't know." Something like most 7-year-olds say. And my dad said, "How about a priest?" And I was before the age of accountability, so I said, "A priest sounds like a great thing to be." And from that day forth, my parents set a goal that I would become a Catholic priest. Age 14, an interesting event happened in my life. The Catholic Church at that time was doing a program called The Search. And what they did is they took a group of high school students and they put them in a gymnasium of a high school for 3 days to 3 weeks, depending on the program. And they took away their timepieces, darkened all the windows, and just took them away from contact with the outside world, and left them to talk about the church and their relationship to God. And it was the first time in my life there that I felt the Spirit. That wonderful sensation. And I made a promise to my Heavenly Father that I was going to seek that Spirit out. And wherever I found it, that's where I would be. More interesting is my second year. I noticed that some of my friends, fellow seminary students, and fathers were calling me a nickname. And the nickname was Digger. And I remember Father Schmidt, who sat on the end, recognized me and announced my name. And I took a deep breath, and I said, "I'd like to share with you what I've learned by the study of the Scriptures, and by the power of the Spirit. I know that God the Father and Jesus Christ are two separate beings, and the doctrine of the Trinity is a false doctrine." They gave me an ultimatum. They said, "Brother Carpenter, you can denounce what you said to that class and continue your stay, or you can take your belief and walk with it." And I decided that that's what I would do. I'd take my sabbatical and then sign my final papers and have my induction into my last years of seminary. But I learned something important later on in life, and that is when the Spirit speaks to you, you have to act on it. Because if you don't, it departs and opens up your agency. And I didn't act fast enough, and soon my mind began thinking about other things. At this point, my parents' investment in my seminary education was a little over $40,000. This was their dream. And what was I doing? And then I started thinking about other things, about my parents' investment, about my parents' plans, and I got scared. And I got up to leave. I remember hitting that bar as I was about to leave, and for the first time in my life, and I have to assume it was an audible voice because I heard it, the Spirit spoke to me. And he said, "You promised me. You spent 21 years looking for me, and each time you felt me, you ran." And I stopped, and I looked around, and there was no one there. And I found the number of 2 LDS missionaries, an Elder Ballard and an Elder Thompson. I met them that day at church. And I remember dialing that number. And the voice on the other end of the phone says, "Hello, this is Elder Ballard, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saint Missionaries. What may I do for you?" And if I had spent the next 10 years of my life preparing for that discussion, I'd never have been prepared. And as Elder Ballard was teaching me this, we were about halfway through the discussion, and he looked at me, and he said, "Do you feel the Spirit?" And I said, "I do, very strong." And he said, "So do I." He said, "That is the Spirit that the Lord uses to invite men to obey His commandments. And one of the Lord's primary commandments is that we are baptized." He said, "Bill, will you be baptized a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints?" He was the picture of power. The mantle of God had fallen upon that young man. One thing we all need to know is that our decision to serve or not to serve affects the salvation of other people. That when the Lord chooses a missionary, He just doesn't say, well, the North Carolina Charlotte mission needs missionaries, or the Utah Salt Lake South mission needs missionaries, or the Iowa Des Moines mission. He matches your personality, your talents, your gifts with certain people that preside in that mission so that their lives can be touched. Though Elder Ballard was from Pocatello, Idaho, he was serving in Moscow, Idaho, and maybe he didn't know why, but once he taught me, I knew why he was there. It's not happenstance. It's inspiration. The greatest opportunity we have, I believe, in this life is to share the message of the gospel. I've had people tell me, "Oh, Brother Carpenter, you have a wonderful conversion story. I wish I had something like that to tell." And I have but one response to that, and that is you do.